The case of the missing keys and the unwitting accomplices. The moment John slammed the front door shut, a cold, sinking feeling bloomed in his stomach. He patted his pockets, then patted them again, a little harder this time. Nothing. "Oh, no, none!" he groaned, leaning his forehead against the solid oak. He was locked out, and his key ring, the one with the novelty rubber chicken, was staring at him from the kitchen counter. Inside the house, Delilah, the French bulldog, lifted her perpetually unimpressed snout from her memory foam bed. Hearing John's muffled lament, she snorted, a sound like a damp sponge being wrung out. She understood the gravity of the situation. John was being loud and dramatic outside, which meant her nap was in jeopardy. Perched atop the refrigerator, his self-proclaimed throne, sat Mazer, the orange cat, currently engaged in his favorite mid-morning activity, judging. He watched John through the window with a slow blink. Mazer had, in fact, been directly involved in the keys' disappearance an hour earlier. He had batted them playfully off the counter, sending them skittering under the rug. He considered this a successful game of fetch, but I don't fetch. John began to pace on the porch. He considered the spare key under the plastic gargoyle, but it was his house key, not the house key for the gargoyle's pedestal. "Okay," John muttered to himself, "I need to get creative." He tried the window near the hydrangea bush. It was locked. He tried to remember the name of the neighbor who had a spare. Was it Carol? Carla? John wasn't sure. Meanwhile, inside, Delilah decided that the noise outside warranted investigation. She trotted over to the door and let out a single, half-hearted huff of a bark. She then noticed the rug near the kitchen table was a little bumpy. Being a creature of simple French bulldogian impulses, she commenced digging at the rug's edge. The muffled jangle of keys caught Mazer's attention. He dropped down from the fridge, his eyes gleaming. A new toy. As Delilah managed to successfully nose the keys out from under the rug, Mazer darted in. He scooped up the entire keyring in his mouth. To Mazer, keys were not objects of access. They were jingly metal prey. He promptly trotted over to the open cat flap and, with a casual flick of his head, tossed the keys outside. They landed with a tink right next to John's shoe. John froze. He looked down at the keys, then up at the cat flap. Mazer, realizing his toy was gone, reappeared at the flap, stared at John with pure indifference, and then stretched his paw out and pulled the cat flap shut with an audible click. Delilah, hearing the keys outside, let out a triumphant snort. She had completed her mission. She promptly wandered back to her bed and resumed her nap, convinced she had saved the day. John picked up his keys, feeling utterly defeated yet amused. He looked down at the cat flap, which now felt less like an entryway for a pet and more like a symbol of Mazer's silent, judgmental dominance. "You could have just used the cat flap to bring them to me." Mazer walked slowly into the room, stepped deliberately over the newly retrieved keys, and then rubbed against John's leg. John bent down to pet him, but Mazer was already halfway back to the fridge. He was done with the day's excitement. Delilah woke up just long enough to see John safely inside. She let out a satisfied harumph and went back to dreaming of baguettes. Would you like to hear a story about a prank Delilah tries to pull on Mazer?